And this isn't the whole system. It's just a part that wants to be corrupt and make sure that, okay, let's stay under quota. So if a child has to stay in an abusive situation, that's fine because we're saving money and hopefully they don't die. Because we don't want to overpopulate and put them within the foster system. Because remember, it's about family reunification, not foster care. Now the thing is, in some situations, it is room for family reunification when there is empathy and remorse from the parent and they're really trying to get their life together and they're positively, actively working and they just made a mistake. Now, when it comes to these cases, and you see this abuse, all these cases being called in, and we're just going to ignore it, and because we want them to be in their, that we want them to be in their biological home, so we're not going to do anything. Like, what sense does that make? The children's not better off in their biological home if those that are their blood do not love them. And it's just simple as that. Let's not act like we want to keep families together when you just want to keep dollars together. Because that's what it is. Let's just make sure we have our bag. Period. Because it's probably a thing where, and this is just like a theory, maybe they're like, oh, the more kids in foster care, the higher your caseload is going to be, so that's going to increase the budget because we're going to have to let people go because we refuse to increase the budget to make sure children are protected. So you know what? The more kids you put in here, the more people we are going to let go, that balance the budget out, and you're going to have a higher caseload. And your job may be in jeopardy the more kids you put in care, regardless of reason. So it could be something like that that's going on that we're not privy to. But that's the thing. You should not run a child protection services like a business. It should be run to protect children's rights in life and to reduce and prevent as much trauma as possible. Then they wonder why the homeless rate is so high, why there's so many drug and alcoholic, or alcohol addictions around of adults. Well, there's a lot of unresolved trauma, and people reached out and to no avail. The abuse increased because they reached out. And you know what? People are like, look, reaching out equals pain. And I don't want to deal with that. So when people ask, how come people don't reach out? A lot of times they do. Or they saw someone else do it and a negative effect happened. So they're like, no, I'm not going to risk it. I'm used to the abuse that's going on right now. He or she beats me, at least, 2 to 3 times a week. It's enough that's consistent. And that's if I do this, and this, and this, and that's correctly, I won't be beat 4 out of 5, okay, of a work week or whatever. And so I'm just going to stick with this schedule because the last time I called the police, he or she was in jail for 1 day and the torture continued, but with an increase of violence. And the thing is, you can't hold people for 1 day, especially abusers. I do not understand that at all. We have to work together as a community because I'm tired of the crying for like a little minute and then, oh, that person's a monster, this, that, and the other. But we're not taking people seriously at the emotional, psychological, spiritual, financial abuse part. We want physical proof. We want gory pictures because guess what? It's entertaining. We want the murder. And then, you know what? Then we'll believe. And then we'll start trying to solve the crime and investigate when it gets gory. Because guess what? This is a great case, okay? This can change my career. Getting this violent abusive offender, this murderer off the street. Now it's a bigger story now because guess what? The person died, but you know what? It could have been prevented. They came to you a few weeks ago. They went to the judge, tried to get a protective order. Oh, that's not enough evidence. They have to do this, this, and that. That doesn't prove anything. Abuse is insidious. It's a slow progression. And if you do not stop it, it will become an uglier monster that you can never imagine. And that's what gets me. Is that we need to take all forms of abuse seriously. Because they're all intertwined. All intertwined. And they take people out. They take people out. Now, for my beautiful victims or survivors and thrivers, I have a verse to help encourage you. And it's 2 Timothy 1:7. And it says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." So basically, I want to say to you guys, walk out of that abusive relationship with a safe transition plan. Okay? Don't fear. Definitely get out because it consistently gets worse. Work with the power that God has within you to make a change in your life, and it's hard. It's so hard because you love the person so much and you're like, there's a good side to him. There's a good side to her. I love him. It's my mom. It's my dad. I know that they can change. I just need to do this, this, and this. If I get them in a therapy, if I get them to do this, they're going to be better. You know, and we're shuffling with it. Feeling guilty that we're responsible for their healing, but guess what? We're not. They are. They need to take their pain to God just as we are. Just as we need to heal. We're responsible for that. We're not responsible what's done to us, but we're responsible what happens after. Okay? Let's gain that self-control. Because as an abuse victim, survivor, and thriver, at some point of our journey, we felt as if we had no self-control. Actually, matter of fact, what is self? Because there's a point where you don't know who you are. You look in the mirror and you feel like you're the Walking Dead, period. Personally, with me, I look into the mirror and I feel like the Walking Dead. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. Because you know what? Every time I said something that I liked or I was passionate about, it was beaten out of me. So I truly didn't know my likes or dislikes because it was reprogrammed with what they liked. And so I liked it out of protection of myself. So that is why this verse is so important. Let's gain our identity. Let's gain some self-control. And it's hard. It's really hard. Because you don't have an identity for so long. And you're trying to gain it back and you feel lost. Simple things you don't even know about yourself. And it seems scary because the abuser have been telling you who you are the whole time. You've been looking externally this whole time for affirmation and never getting it, just getting destruction within your spirit. But you know what? Look to God and look in your heart of hearts, because you have the strength. You survived this long in an abusive environment, so you're strong. You took all of that abuse, all of those forms of abuse, and you're still here. You have the strength. Just act on it. So I just really love you guys. This is ISpeakMotivate, and I hope to hear from you in the comments on when you heard her statement, or what other forms of abuse you felt that were intertwined within that statement. What other tactics did she use? Because I definitely could have missed some. So let me know, comment below. Love you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for joining us this week on Abuse Exposed. Make sure to subscribe to our show in Apple Podcasts and other social media platforms at Abuse Exposed so you never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on Apple Podcasts. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Thanks for being a part of the community.